Hey guys, this is Anthony with iCracked.com again. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the digitizer on your 3G or 3GS. So how we get started is we always use our do-it-yourself flowchart provided in every one of our do-it-yourself kits. It's very awesome. It takes you through the whole process of the repair and keeps you organized as well. And as far as parts, we have your standard Phillips head screwdriver. We have a nylon spudger. We like to use a Gerber pocket knife, or you can use an iSesamo pry tool, which is awesome for replacing batteries or touchscreen LCD covers or anything internally with the device, which we also sell on our online shop. And then of course you have your cleaning cloth and then the trusty suction cup to get that full assembly off. We also have the 3M adhesive we'll be applying on the mid-frame before we install the digitizer. Probably your most important tool is your electric heat gun. We sell this on our website as well. For those that are do-it-yourselfers, you can also use a hair dryer will work fine, an iron, but this is your primary go-to to heat up the digitizer. Makes it a lot easier to do the replacement as long as you have a heat gun. So what I'm going to first do is power off the device. And then take my Phillips head and remove the two screws from the bottom. Okay, now that those are removed, take the suction cup, place it just above the home button, and then use your hand like a lever. We're going to open it up like a clam again. There you go. Keeping the top part wedged, we're going to pull up here and expose the three connections. These three connections are the LCD, digitizer, and you'll see below is the ribbon cable that we've spoke about earlier. I'm going to use my nylon spudger. I'm going to unclip your LCD first, then the digitizer, and then right below is that ribbon cable. Now the ribbon cable is held on by this little lever here. What you need to do is just pop that up and then it'll slide right out. Okay? So I've removed the full assembly from our logic board. So I'm going to set this aside now and start focusing on this full assembly, because what we're trying to do is replace this whole glass digitizer, and we have to remove the LCD and the mid-frame from that. So I'll use my Phillips head, and there's 3 screws on each side. Here, here, and then right there. And then on the flip side, you have one here, here, and right up top. Okay, so let's spend some time and we'll unscrew these. All right, simple enough. So those screws fastened on the LCD to the mid-frame. So what we're going to be doing is taking this LCD off now. And how we're going to do that is there's a ridge here that we're going to kind of pull with our nail here and just kind of release some tension. While I'm doing that, on this bottom part, there's a way for you to lift up. I just take my nylon spudger, release some tension with my nail there, and then it should come right up. Okay? So we've lifted it up now. All I can do is take this, pull up from this wedge here, and then slide it out. So that's your LCD. We're going to go ahead and set this aside so we can focus on the final digitizer and mid-frame. Okay, so now that we've removed the LCD from the digitizer and mid-frame, we're going to go ahead and heat up the digitizer, which makes it a lot easier to remove from the mid-frame and then reapply our brand new digitizer. So I'll take our heat gun and put it about an inch away from the screen so it just heats up that adhesive underneath that holds it onto the mid-frame. I'm going to run down the side as well because there is a little bit of adhesive there, and also near the home button. I kind of slowly just wave it around there and then do the same for this side as well. Now be careful, this is hot. Just to throw that out there, a little disclaimer. Probably setting it down like so is the best process. And that should be good enough. Okay, so now to remove the digitizer from the mid-frame, you have two options. One is our Gerber pocket knife, or any sort of pocket knife. We actually sell these on our website. And then also you have your Icesimo pry tool, which works great for sliding underneath as well. Also sold on our website. Okay, so I gave it a couple seconds to cool down. Now I can take the assembly. I'm going to start at the bottom here. Take my Icesimo pry tool and wedge it between the mid-frame and digitizer. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of work it in around near the home button. You hear it pry open there. I'm going to slide it through right by the home button. And remove all that adhesive. Okay. Now there can also be adhesive on the side here where you can pry it off on both sides and then work your way up to the top. Slide around. Now just be careful, or just be gentle with this. You don't want to cut anything. With this tool, it's very easy. It's a lot easier to not hurt anything. There's a proximity sensor up here, but if you're using the Icesimo tool, you shouldn't have any problem. Okay, so it's removed. Now you see we have a little bit of adhesive here and down here. The home button's here. I'm going to go ahead and slide this home button out. I'll show you how to install that here in a little bit. So now I'll go ahead and use my Icesimo. Work at the bottom here to remove all the adhesive. We want to make sure when we're prying this off, we're getting all the adhesive and then also the possible glass that's left over from the cracked screen. So we have a nice flush, seamless connection with the digitizer and mid-frame. So I'm getting around the corners here. Grabbing as much as possible. And we also have a lot over here. So once you kind of peel it up, you can go ahead and take your finger, it pulls right off. So we have a little more, and then we're about to put on the new adhesive and then apply that digitizer. Now what we're going to do is put on the new adhesive. We provide this in all of our do-it-yourself kits. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to start with the bottom one here. Now it's held on or glued on with some paper on both ends. It's double-sided tape here. So what I'm going to do is use my Icesimo to get underneath it, and it'll start to peel right off. Okay, now the technique is, I'm going to slide this around actually. I'm going to take a corner here and drop it right in the corner of the mid-frame so we're lined in correctly. Okay, once you're kind of lined in there, it rolls on pretty easily and should just line up and be flush on the other side. Okay, so I'll take my spudger, just make sure we have a good bond between these two. And then move to the next one. So I use the same technique. I'll use my Icesimo. Peel that up and pull over. Okay. Same technique. Corner to corner. Just place it and then drop it down. I work my way from right to left. There you go. Finally take that spudger again. Great. So I'll set that aside while I prep with the digitizer. Our brand new digitizer here comes with a lot of plastic on it for protection. We're going to go ahead and remove that so we're ready to place it onto our mid frame. So you have plastic here, above, right on this glass here, and then on the front side. I'm not going to worry about the front side right now. It's all about removing this so we can apply it correctly. So I'll drop that off. They have little pull tabs here so it's not hard to use. And then sometimes you'll have a pull tab on this plastic, other times you won't. What I'd use is my Assessimo. You can get a grip on this plastic here and then slowly, gently pull that off. Like so. Okay, so now that that's prepped, I'm going to go ahead and remove the adhesive from our mid frame. So I'm going to use Assessimo again. Take a corner here. And peel up. Perfect. So there's one side. Take this corner, do the same. Perfect. Okay, now before I apply the digitizer, I'm going to put that home button back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and slide it right in that little slot there. Like so. Okay, so now everything's ready to go. I'm going to place the digitizer. Now, two things you need to look forward to is you have the digitizer connection. This, you want it to go under the mid frame. So what I do is I'll take my finger like so, and then I'll run it through the back side, because you don't want this thing to go here above, in between the digitizer and mid frame. What we'll do is, and then I'll line it up on the top first, and then focus on the bottom part, making sure the home button falls in correctly. So I'll check the home button. It's clicking. And then I'll start to fasten in the adhesive as much as possible. So right now I'm just making sure we have a good bond between the digitizer and mid frame on both sides. Now we can proceed with putting on the LCD to our mid frame and digitizer. Okay, so now I'll go ahead, flip over the LCD, and I'll proceed to slide it in like so, the front side going in underneath this little bracket, and then also sliding in before I drop it down. So now it's fully flush here. We can go ahead and drop it down. Be careful. Same thing, you might want to release some tension on the side here of the mid frame, and it'll easily kind of pop in. And there you go. Okay, so we've assembled the full assembly, which is about half of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and screw in those 6 screws that we had released before. So I'll take my Phillips head. And begin to install. Okay, so we're fully assembled here. Now we can grab the back panel assembly and go ahead and proceed to connect these 3 connections. We're about a couple minutes away from finishing this repair. So I'll start with the ribbon cable here, pull up all the other ones, the digitizer and LCD, to get that out of the way. I'll go ahead and curl it because I'm going to slide it into the ribbon cable connection here. There we go, I wiggle it in, and then I'm going to drop down that little latch just with my finger there so it stays locked in. Then I'm going to drop down the digitizer connection next. You'll hear a click, make sure that's fully in so we don't have to open it up again, and then proceed with the LCD and do the same. Then you're good. Okay, so now that we have those three connections done, we'll start by dropping down this top part on where the ear speaker is, and then work to push down our home button section. Now that we see it's flush, I'm going to go ahead and power it on before I open up the screw, or before I screw it back together, just to make sure our LCD and digitizer are correct before we go ahead and proceed with the screws. It'll take probably 20 to 30 seconds to reboot, and then we can go from there. Okay, now that it's booted up, we're going to go ahead and test the digitizer. Just make sure everything's connected correctly. Everything's working fine. LCD looks great. So we can go ahead and screw in the final two screws, and we are done here. So there you have it. We just did a digitizer replacement for a 3G and 3GS phone. If you have any questions, feel free to call us on our hotline, as well as check us out at iCracked.com. Thanks, guys, and we'll talk soon.